Hey, hey, hey. Time for another Out of This World story from rSpace. There's a message in the way a person treats you. The trick is to listen. Listen carefully today on rSpace. Our first OP failed to listen to their gut instincts. Cheating story. Hello all. I wanted to share my story about my ex cheating on me. It kind of has a wholesome end to it. This was a tough one for a while to deal with, but time healed the wounds from it. Essentially, things felt like it was a happily ever after before she had to go away for a work trip and ended up with her ex. I will post the full story here too because it's good for me even still to get this off my chest even though a few years have passed now. So I, male 24 at the time, met my ex-girlfriend, female 25 at the time, at a bar one night when we were out and about with groups of our friends. Her and I hit it right off and exchanged numbers. Before long, we were texting regularly and an item not long after that. I had dated a fair bit before her, but we really clicked. I actually had the feeling of the one for the first time ever. We had a ton in common, got along famously, and had similar goals in life, and just really enjoyed each other's company. For her, she had dated a fair bit before me too. When we got to the talks of exes, and there was one that kept coming up. Let's call him Ethan. She talked about how she thought he was the one before, but he was a dick to her, left her a couple of times, and was well liked by her family and friends. I could tell she had an infatuation with him as she mentioned moving on, but he would always weasel his way back in. She assured me though that he was gone for good and she had long blocked him everywhere. That gave me a sigh of relief, but deep down, I just had a feeling. Fast forward 9 months. Things are going really well, and we are now looking at getting our first apartment together. We are zeroing in on a couple of places and are getting ready to make offers. I already had my own place and she was still with her parents, but was practically living at my place at this point. We just wanted to get more space and a place that was truly ours. One day she comes home from work and says, "The craziest thing happened. Remember my ex Ethan? He got hired in the sales department of my company." My stomach dropped when I heard that. She worked in the operations department of her company, and I knew that they worked closely with sales for projects. She had started working there a few months prior, and I would like to think it was completely by chance, but you never know. I asked her if this was going to be a problem. She said no, she would be avoiding him, but felt that time has passed and they could be professional together. I did not have a good feeling about it, but she assured me it would be no issue, and if there was, she would look to move. This is when things started to change. At first it was small things. She would not want to meet for lunch as often. I used to hear from her throughout the day, and then it became an odd text here and there during the work days. But outside of work, everything was fine. We were still getting along. I didn't notice her more preoccupied with her phone. I never checked it or anything like that. And she was still coming and going at regular times. She just kept saying it was getting busy at work when I pressed her about not engaging as much during the day. Fair point. Then the big one came. She came home and told me the company was flying her team alongside sales and marketing to their head office for a few days for specialized systems training. I asked if everyone on all teams was going, and she said yes. I knew right then subconsciously that it was over. I was trying to play it cool, but inside I knew something might happen here. I still gave it the benefit of the doubt, but I told her I was concerned about her and him together away. She assured me nothing was coming out of it. She had barely spoken with him, and it would be fine. Come the day of the trip, I drove her to the airport. It wasn't a long flight, but she texted me when she landed, and we had a Skype call from her hotel room. She said she's going to dinner and for some drinks with the team later, and then we would talk again before her days started. That was the last time I spoke with her for the entire trip. She texted me when she got to the restaurant. Then it was radio silence for 3 whole days. I texted her asking how it was going. Nothing. I tried calling and got her voicemail. I just said I wanted to see how it was going. Nothing. She texted me once more after 2 days that she was fine and just swamped. Tired when she finished up and would call me before she left. She didn't. Come the day of her return home, I text her saying if she wants me to pick her up in the airport, she needs to let me know, otherwise I won't be there. I was so pissed at this point. I get things come up, and you are busy, but I just felt like something was going on deep down. I never heard from her. I finally texted her that I was going to be at my place, and it would be nice to see her when she gets back. I tried to keep myself calm, but I just knew something was up. A few hours go by, and then all of a sudden the door opens. She comes in and starts saying how much she missed me. I asked her how she got back from the airport. She says, "A friend drove me here." I asked if it was Ethan, and she said, "Maybe." At this point, I am enraged, but still keeping me calm with her. I told her I think something was going on with them while she was gone, and I want to know the truth now. She kind of stares off blankly and then starts crying. She says yes, it did. She said at first it was good intentions and she had no plans to see him, but they got talking when the team was at the bar, and then one thing led to another, and she was back in his hotel room with his balls deep in her. She then said they were pretty much screwing the entire time they were at the company head office, which is why I never heard from her. She tried to defend herself, saying he was her one that got away, and this provided her some closure. None of this made any sense to me. She then told me she got it out of her system and it would not happen again. I told her that she is still working with the guy, so there is no way it's over there. I told her it's over for us though, and she had 24 hours to get her crap out of my place. She begged and pleaded to stay, but I wouldn't have it. She eventually left, and within a month was dating her ex again officially. No surprise there. They actually seemed to make it work and got married not long after too. Good for them. Happy ending, I suppose. It messed with me for a long time and I had a hard time trusting people again. Eventually I moved on too, and it was all for the best. Sorry if it's long. I like to write and can get carried away. Our first reaction comes from Crazy Shades 62. Great job trusting your instincts and not putting up with their BS. Who's Got Ammo says, reason number 3789 or whatever, as to why you never take a cheater back. This affair was for closure and she got it out of her system, but then she married the affair partner. Affectionate Neat 919 says, please tell me he cheated, gave her an STI, and she is miserable. The OP replies, I'll never know. I heard they got married and that's all I know. Affectionate Neat 919 replies back, I'm just being petty, but that's exactly what they deserve. I'm glad you're free and clear of the wreckage. I'm so sorry, OP. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. It's super hard to always trust our initial gut feeling. We want to believe that the person we love won't do anything to hurt us. It seems like she had been sneaking around on you behind your back for quite some time. I feel as though the surprise at the fact that her ex got a job at the same place she worked was fake. I don't think she was surprised at all. In fact, she probably told him to get a job there. Quite often in cases like this, the ex, or the one that got away, often strings the other person along for some ego boost. They don't like to see their exes move on. Because of this, I don't think they were ever out of contact. I'm so sorry she deceived you. I'm wishing you all the best. Do you think OP remained in contact with her ex? If you have a similar story, let us know in the comments below. And our next OP is being tested by a happy couple of narcissists. Ex-husband and affair partner getting married. 14 years into my marriage, and into what I thought had been one of our happiest years, my husband had an emotional affair with a married woman. They were ballet partners during the day while I was working, going to school, or caring for our 2 children. Just 3 weeks into knowing one another, they left their spouses and started a life together. But not after speaking so many lies about the state of our marriage. That we were just roommates, I wasn't supportive, our marriage had been dead, all lies. We divorced just 3 months later, a week after our 15th anniversary. Now, 3 years later, they are engaged. I have had a lot of therapy and struggled with severe depression during this time period, but have worked very hard to make sure my kids are having a wonderful life to the extent that I have made pains not to speak poorly about the ex and the girlfriend in front of them. They deserve to be able to feel like they can love those two without somehow feeling like they are betraying me. Well, now they absolutely love her and have a fully formed family. Their engagement has suddenly put legitimacy around how they started their relationship with others, as though what they did to create their relationship was somehow okay because they ended up together. It makes me feel like a throwaway human, easily replaceable. It's as though my pain is no longer valid because they were meant to be. It's hitting me really hard, and quite frankly, I have so many feelings about this being unfair. What did they get the happy ending in the family that I once had? What did they get to be the affair exception to the rule and not only staying together but thrive? And why the hell do I still feel this level of pain 3 years later? I feel as though I'm the only one being punished here, and for something I didn't do. Anyone else been in a similar circumstance? These are all natural feelings to have, OP, and I'm sorry you feel this way. You're grieving the life you had envisioned for yourself, and grief is different for everyone. It's not a linear process. Your ex was toxic. He cheated on you. He disrespected you, betrayed you, broke your trust, and now you are free to let him go. You do not have to put up with it anymore. Let someone else deal with his lies and the pain. Let's see what OP has to say next. Update. In September of last year, a affair partner seemed like an abusive wreck and asked to come to my place to talk. I had been keeping my distance from her, but she is the person with heavy involvement in my kids' lives, And if she was experiencing something difficult enough that she'd come to me, of all people, I should at least listen. Such an idiotic mistake. She told me that my ex-husband had been gaslighting her, that he had promised her children and immediately gone back on that once engaged, and she wanted to leave but was torn about the impact on the kids. I told her that it's her decision, but if she leaves again, to not come back. The last time she left was devastating to my kids. She also expressed that her parents keep trying to get her to leave because they worried about her mental safety, thinking my ex is a narcissist. He is, and no, he isn't safe. But up to that point, she seemed to be the same. She went on about all the love bombing and apologizing for her part in my pain. Apparently getting to that point made her realize what I had experienced and that I wasn't the villain he had portrayed me to be. She ended up leaving my ex and moving to Florida. She messages me a lot at first for support. She talked about the crazy things he was saying and doing to try to get her back, all while he had already started a new relationship immediately. She was grateful to have someone who understood what it was like to have been in a complex, emotionally abusive relationship style like his. We weren't friends, I'll say that. It was more like a support group style of chat. Once she settled in and started dating, she checked in about once a month. I last heard from her in mid-April. She and her boyfriend had broken up. My ex had also broken up with a new woman, who he had already introduced the kids to, and he had been sending her messages again. She was upset, but she said she blocked him. Then, late May, I received a message from her that earlier in the month, after transformative time apart, she and my ex had secretly gotten married. The kids were being told about it the same time I was, and she was driving to Colorado to move in the next day. On the kid pickup day, I asked if we could talk. Obviously, what's done is done, but I wanted to tell them that I worry about them doing this cycle of leaving again to the kids and to talk about our parenting schedule. When she left, I agreed to a temporary schedule where I had the kids more often while my ex figured out some things. The ex then called me controlling for making him go back to our legal schedule and said, deep breath, that the reasons they didn't work out the first time was because I made it hard for them, and if I don't want the kids to experience something like her leaving again, then I shouldn't make it hard for them this time. She then chimed in that I simply don't want him to be happy and never have. That all she said when she left was just words out of place of sadness and needing support, but she didn't mean them. She was basically using my own trauma and experience in my divorce and twisting it to make me sympathetic to her and use me for support, which makes no sense to me. Why try to keep contact with me like this if you weren't experiencing these things? I lost my crap. Yelled and screamed like a crazy person. I've never done that before. I was furious that they would blame all of their difficulties in a relationship that came out of both of them cheating on their spouses on me not making it easier for them and also putting their future success on my shoulders. My ex has always put everything that makes his life difficult for him as being my fault. Always. And that was part of his abuse. It still hits me in a hard way, and he knows it. I absolutely hate that I gave them the fuel they need to paint a picture that I'm crazy and they are somehow the heroes of their story. The worst part is that the kids heard me yelling. That hurt so badly. I never want them to feel the pain that comes from interparent yelling like I was doing. My ex and the affair partner made me apologize to the kids for my behavior, which was demeaning. I always talked to my kids about things and would have discussed what I did and said how I felt, gave them room to talk about how they felt and may have been hurt, on my own and without them standing over me. But they need the story framed a certain way. Then, affair partner sends me an email saying she appreciated my support and understands why I may feel the way I do, but that she's in it for the long haul and will be the best stepmom ever. I ignored it. Anyways, that's the update. I feel angry and emotional and really sad that this circus is my life until the kids are adults. Our first reaction comes from Blade982. Stop engaging with them. Stop talking to them. Only communicate via a co-parenting app. Stop letting your hurt and your pain fuel their fire. They are not good people. They never have been, and they never will be. Supporting a affair partner was a mistake. She's a liar and a cheat. I'm so sorry you had to learn this the hard way. Going forward, don't respond to anything that is not directly about the children. The OP replies, I only communicate with my ex through talking parents, and it was that way with affair partner too, until this happened. I completely agree with you about only responding to things about the kids. It was a hard lesson to learn. I always believed that people are multifaceted. Not all bad or all good. But this was a big lesson for me. Raging Chump chimes in. Everyone thinks they are special. Their cheater, their situation, their ability to deal with disordered people, their moral correctness in choosing to work with the cheater, affair partner, everyone else's opinions. No one cares about you but you. And if you are extremely lucky, maybe some family members or one or two friends. The only people we should put in front of ourselves consistently is our kids and those few people from time to time. I just don't understand the hubris of people who come to this sub and other support sites and read the posts from all types of people who get treated like garbage at every available opportunity by cheaters and affair partners, but still think, oh, not me, I'm different. No, you aren't. My husband's affair partner was fully integrated into my 3-year-old's life the minute I told him to get the F out. 5 years later, she is still there, now living there. The idea that I would speak to, much less support that female in any way, is hysterical. How can you try to engage with people who are 100% in denial of reality? Why would you? I'm not trying to beat up on you. More for others reading this. You aren't special when it comes to what cheaters and affair partners will do. Think you are? Prepare for more pain and drama. Remote Way 4813 adds their opinion. Same story with my friend. They got engaged weeks after the divorce. Affair had been going on for a year. Her family was on board 100%, gave them some legitimacy. Married within 8 months. She was then 6 months pregnant. Nearly destroyed my friend and his family, all sorts of stupid stories about them. He just kept soldiering on. The affair partner cleaned out her bank accounts and disappeared a week before his baby girl was born. After that, her life went totally downhill. Her family took in the baby, and she ended her life 2 years after the divorce on what would have been my friend's 11th wedding anniversary. She tried to get in contact with him that night, didn't know what was said. She had been a wonderful person until her affair. I bumped into her a week before she died. Now I'm loyal to my friends 100%, but when we talked, I saw firsthand what cheating does to a person. All she wanted to do was talk about her life before her divorce, not about her child or her future. She had to try to get back into his life, but he wasn't having any of it, as was his right. He moved on eventually and is happily married with 2 boys now. He puts flowers on her grave on her birthday. He says it's the least he can do, but he has never forgiven her. OP, you're suffering from being gaslit. They are saying and doing something that's making you doubt your emotions, wisdom, memories, or sanity. They're putting all the blame on you and telling you that you're overreacting, oversensitive, or making things up. They're doing this to make you doubt your perceptions and feelings and stay in charge of the situation. In other words, they're putting you down to make themselves feel better. It's what people do when they feel wronged, pressured, unhappy, or angry. They look for others' mistakes, shortcomings, and weaknesses and use them to their advantage. Obviously, they have their issues. They both left their previous partners and they left each other. They're clearly miserable and have to make others around them miserable. Don't buy into this. Take back your power and remember who you are. Have you ever been gaslit? What happened and what did you do to stop it and gain your confidence back? Let us know in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Also, please let us know what you thought of today's content in the comments below. Until next time.